degree angle, heels together, 2 fingers on the right, 5 fingers on the left, standing erect in the cactus pose, facing the east, and repeat after me. Allah,
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 Father of the universe,
Father of
Father
the
of the universe,
the Father of love,
Father of love, Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
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 freedom,
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 and justice.
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
My
my
God,
God,
and my salvation.
and my salvation.
Night and by day,
by night and by day,
By day,
through his holy prophet,
through his holy
through
prophet,
his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Ali.
Amen.
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 Islamism. All right, Moors, I want to announce that the meeting is now open, but first and foremost, we always rise and give the highest praise to the Most High, the creator of the universe, our Father God Allah. We give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for returning our divine creed and nationality to us. We give honors also to the forerunner to the prophet, preparing the way for love and purity, our brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We give honors to all the sheiks, adepts, and all the faithful Moors that make up the grand body of the Moorish divine and national movement. We also give honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh by our prophet, and that is Brother Emili Il. We know that the prophet actually established and set up our government. We also give honors to our current Supreme Grand Sheikh, our brother K. Dandridgel, and honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islamism. Brother Jackson Bey, would you please read the Divine Constitution and Bylaws?
Islam. I rise giving perfect praise to Allah and honest to the Prophet and honest to all the Muslims. Salvation, Allah, unity, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and partial of the government and must live a life accordingly. Act 5, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6, with us all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must properly attend their meetings and become part and partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Noble Jew Ali, founder, Moorish American prayer, Allah, the father of the universe, the father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, home office of Noble Drew Ali, home office, Chicago, Illinois, USA, Islamism. Happy Holy Day.
Islam or Islam. Happy Holy Day, brother. Thank you. Gratitude. All right. Now we're gonna go ahead and go on to the writs of the prophet, brother Cole Bay. Would you please read those?
Islam, I rise to give honors to the great God Allah. Rise to give honors to our prophet Noble Jew Ali. Rise to give honors to our forerunner Marcus Messiah Garvey's. Rise to give honors to all Muslims on the call, as well as all Muslims on the planet. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam, I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation. They claimed that I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation, as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finances so badly as I do at present, so I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through the jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without either prophet being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is instructions from your prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of times are drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. That is why many hearts have turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, and on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards to Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah from their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing the turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali, and the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Jew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day.
Islam, or happy holy day. All right, appreciate you too. Also, we're gonna go ahead and read the additional laws before we get started. We're gonna be in chapter 35 today in the Quran. All right, I believe Brother Shaw Bey, were you gonna read the additional laws, or Brother Seymour Bey? I'm not sure.
Islam, brother,
Islam.
yourself. Simon Bay. I got him. First, I rise and give praise to the Most High, Father God Allah. Give honors to his holy prophet, Drew Ali, Noble Drew Ali. Honors to the forerunner to the prophet, Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And honors to all you faithful Moors on the call today. Happy Holy Day. Additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1. Grand sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the prophet Noble Drew Ali before acting upon by any member, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the member to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group or members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restrictions, etc., by the prophet or the grand sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their adept meetings and the public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, it shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second will be fined $1, which will go to your emergency fund. If a member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able to finance, to aid me in saving the nation, and if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertions against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we're to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out of your Sunday school come the guiders of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men must now proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey fathers and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Moors.
Islamism. Gratitude, brother. All right, we're gonna be on page 42 in the Holy Koran, chapter 35, there's holy instructions from the prophet, religion. All right. And remember, as we have been going through chapters 30 through 35, we've been discussing how these chapters are concerning our social duties, our codes of conduct, right? So all of these chapters are laying down our rules that are outlining our responsibilities, our daily responsibilities, how we conduct ourselves as we take our place in the affairs of men. And we have 5 codes of conduct, and they were justice, charity, gratitude, sincerity, and now religion. All right. And so these are important, especially for us to understand, coming from the I guess you could say the position that our people have been in for the last 150 or so years. We've been removed in so many ways from the family of humans or the family of nations, and we have to come back in and learn how to conduct ourselves, because we've been trained out of it. And over the generations now, we're at the point where we're at now, where we're not even really in control of our own communities, physically, mentally, spiritually. We don't even control our households. We don't control how we conduct ourselves. Now these things are being controlled by outside forces, the media. They can push little things out there, get a couple of people who look like us to promote something, and then we will actually move on it, right? Even if it's to our detriment. Something like doing drugs, being immoral, being untrustworthy, just in all types of ways. And even say 60 years ago or 70 years ago, this wasn't the case. Even though our community had still fallen, so it was still in a fallen state, we had the Negro label on us, we still had some sense of community. For example, the so-called Negro community, which we're Asiatics, but at the time in the 50s, they would have been called Negroes. We were the moral compass for the entire country. So even in our fallen state, we still had, most of our houses were intact. You may have had some guys who were ditching the family. You know, Papa was a Rolling Stone, but for the most part, that wasn't how we conducted ourselves. So the prophet has set these rules, these guidelines down for us to get back in alignment. And then these are for us on how we conduct our communities. So this isn't just individual, this is also how we conduct ourselves in our society. So this is extremely important, because once we fall under this, we come into our holy covenant. So we cannot skip over this. This is how we come into the holy covenant. All right, these are the relations that bind us. We have to put this into action, because this is what makes the covenant real. So it doesn't matter what anyone else is saying. I'm sure most of us have realized this by now. It's not about just paperwork or any of this other stuff that people are saying. That's not what saves us, because we can't do those things and we're still just a bunch of divine Negroes, right? We can't be doing these same things that have gotten us in the situation that we're in today. We have to actually change ourselves. And then we set these guidelines down on how we conduct ourselves as a whole. So it's of the utmost importance, All right. And the saving power is actually coming from us, coming together with our Islamic nation state, understanding our divine origin and our holy covenant, and returning to our divine creed, which is what we're discussing today. Holy instructions from the prophet, religion. Our divine creed is Islam, or Islamism. More specifically, Islamism, right? So we're moving out as a unit, and we have these ties that bind us to each other. We have common goals, common interests, and now we can accomplish our goals. And then we know that the success of our nation is going to come first and foremost. right? And this is the hardest part to teach, actually, because you have to have the light before you can receive the light. Many people won't be patient enough to get this part. And that's also why this has to be taught, because in the beginning of the Quran, it's letting you know that Allah is in you, letting you know the truth about there's no heaven or hell after you die. These are states of mind. So it's giving you power, but you can't just give someone this power. That would be reckless. Now you have to have the discipline. You have to have the fortitude to make it something. So a lot of people are getting information, right, from all over the place. Now it's the information age. So the information's out there. You can look online or somewhere and start calling yourself God, saying, I'm God, right? But if you're acting the same way, if you're still ruled by your lower self, you're kidding yourself, right? It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. So we can't continue like that. And so this is extremely important. And today we're discussing religion, chapter 35. And as we speak on that chapter, I do want to read a little bit from Moorish literature. We're going to be, if you're looking in your Moorish literature book, that's page 41. Masterpiece of Religious Literature, Secrets of Other Creeds Revealed. All right. And this is actually by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Okay, page 41. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali has spent many hours preparing the latest edition of the Quran, which will be a masterpiece of religious literature. To Americanize the Oriental idea of Islam involves many changes that are more or less negative to the main purpose of the Islamic religion. Such changes are carefully considered with the idea to avoid changing the complexion of the original text. All right, listen to this. Maybe look over this again too later on. The soul, excuse me. I skipped ahead. Okay. The philosophy of the ancient prophets is the main initiative in the compilation of the Quran. No thoughts of propaganda entered this work, as has been the case of many former religious works, such as the Bible and other books of creed. The sole purpose of the prophet in giving such a message to the world is to save fallen humanity. When a compiler attempts to inject propaganda into a work of this kind, there arises a need to cover the true text in order to prevent a clash with the truth and ideas involved in such propaganda. Former works of this kind have either hindered or helped the nations proportionately to the adherence to the truth as to the original purpose of keeping the ignorant in such a state. It is hard to resist the temptation to use this medium for gain. Hence, many of the former treaties on works of this kind have been the means to foster ideas of the unscrupulous, wherein they desired to use religious influence for gain. The many sects or secrets known to the prophet that could be used for the salvation of the nation were either left out or colored to an extent that their meaning was made void. Such is not the case with this edition of the Quran. So you have in all true spiritual holy texts, they have this truth in there. They're letting you know that Allah buried himself within you or herself, right? We give that attribute of father to it to signify certain attributes that we see in fathers providing for their children. But, you know, Allah is beyond gender. So all of the true religious texts are giving you that truth, that Allah buried himself within you. But in most of the religions, especially mainstream religions like Christianity, that's what we know here in North America, that's not what you're getting from it. There's very few Christian preachers who are teaching this, who are letting the people know this. And it's like that in mainstream Islam for the most part, which would be for the most part, Sunni Islam, and many other religions also in the world. Doesn't matter whether it's candomblé or different forms of voodoo or whatever. They're not really coming and telling you this, because if they were, then that cuts out the priest and everyone else who's getting their cut off of maintaining this separation. Okay, so this is coming right out and telling you that in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, it's telling you who you truly are right out the gate. But then that's why it's important too to get the guidance and the understanding and the structure and the discipline. Okay. All of this, the secrets of the ages known to man are put into this work. The secrets known only to the Magi are here revealed. The reading of the stars, the interpretation of marriage relations, the understanding of the span of life, and others such as has been kept from the Occidental world are in this book boldly brought out. The Quran, Americanized as it will be, can be bought in a few weeks. It will be sent to all governors of the Moorish Science Temple of America by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Islam. So I just wanted to cover that before we talk about this, just so that you can get an idea of what the Prophet was doing. Okay, why this was created, prepared for us. Is giving you the truth. It's giving you the power. And then we're giving the steps on how to actuate this. We don't want to just say, oh, I'm an adept or I'm whatever. I'm God. You don't want to just say these things. So we're giving the 12-step ladder or the 12 virtues. And we understand that there's steps that you take. Faith, belief, faith, and fruition. So each virtue, you must go through those 3 steps to master it. And in each virtue that you master, you subdue the lower self. So if anyone is teaching this stuff and talking about the Quran and they're not teaching this, they're not helping you to empower yourself. Right? We can't leave that out. Okay? Eventually, we're all to get to the knowing. We can't read that God is in us. That's also why I wanted to, everyone to do those exercises to open the third eye. You have to know that Allah is in you. It's not good enough to read it or to hear it. You have to know. There's nothing to be scared of, right? It's real. It's in you. It's in all of us. But we have to actually put this into practice, and we can't do this halfway. We have to clean ourselves up. We all have work to do on ourselves, and so that's why all of this, or the majority of this, is about refining ourselves, always working on ourselves. All right, constantly working on ourselves. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start in chapter 35. And remember that's on page 42 in the Quran. And verse 1 is, there is but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. All right, and there's a reason why that's the first verse. There's but one Allah, and then everything, the author, creator, governor of the world, almighty, eternal, incomprehensible. Because in the past, many our people in different points have split up these different aspects of God and made each one of those aspects a different God. Right? Verse 2, the sun is not Allah, though his noblest image. He enlighteneth the world with his brightness. His warmth giveth light to the products of the earth. Admire him as the creature, the instrument of Allah, but worship him not. Right? Because from our perspective, we could think, oh yeah, that's God. But this isn't even the only sun. There's countless suns. Even with the Elohim, the 7 Elohim, the 7 creative spirits that are actually thoughts of Allah, that are alive. They're actually beings that control different aspects of creation. The ancients that were aware of these different aspects of God wrote about this. We see this in all aspects of our life. That's why it's even reflected in us, in our 7 chakras, right? But at different points in time, our ancestors have separated these 7 aspects of Allah and made each one of them a god. And that's why we have in the African pantheon of gods, in voodoo, we have the 7 main Orisha. And then in different religions, they'll have the 7 different gods. They're getting split up and actually given personalities and seen as separate gods. But we're returning to the fact that there is only one, and everything is encompassed within that eternal, whether regardless of what people want to call it. We'll call this Allah, but it's actually beyond those names as well. Islam. So moving on to the one who is supreme, most wise and beneficent, and to him alone belong worship, adoration, thanks, giving, and praise. Right? So we're not taking one of Allah's creations and saying, oh, that's God, that's Allah. No, all of these are aspects of Allah, including us. Who hath stretched forth the heavens with his hands? Who hath described with his finger the courses of the stars? Who setteth bounds to the ocean that it cannot pass, and saith unto the stormy winds, be still? Who shaketh the earth and the nations tremble? Who dareth his lightnings, and the wicked are dismayed? And these again just being explained because once again, we've given the elements that, or each element maybe would be made into a god. The god of the winds, the god of the oceans, the god of the seas, right? And not saying that there's not an intelligence to that, or that we're just saying that these are all aspects of God. Who calleth forth worlds by the words of his mouth? Who smiteth with his arm, and they sink into nothing? O reverence the majesty of the omnipotent, and tempt not his anger, lest thou be destroyed. The providence of Allah is ever all his works. He ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He hath wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature conformeth to his will. Excuse me. In the depths of his mind, he revolveth all knowledge. The secrets of futurity lie open before him. The thoughts of thy heart are naked to his view. He knoweth thy determination before they are made. With respect to his prescience, there is nothing contingent. With respect to his providence, there is nothing accidental. Wonderful he is in all his ways. His counsels are inscrutable. The manner of his knowledge transcendeth thy conception. Right? So this is also setting the precedent so that there's a common understanding that what we're talking about when we speak of Allah, it encompasses the all of creation and is even beyond what we think of as reality. For example, the third dimension, right? Everything in the third, it's even beyond that. And it's what it is incomprehensible. Allah willing, I'm explaining this well enough. Hopefully that makes sense. But it's even beyond our comprehension. And this is just being explained to us so that we understand, okay, we're talking about whatever name you want to give to it. It's not even really the universe, because it's even beyond this thing that we think of as the universe. You know, or it encompasses all the dimensions, everything. Pay therefore to his wisdom all honor and veneration, and bow down thyself in humble and submissive, obedience to his supreme discretion. The Father is gracious and beneficent. He hath created the world in mercy and love. His creatures of his hand declare his goodness, and their enjoyments speak of his praise. He clothed them with beauty. He supporteth them with food. He preserveth them with pleasure from generation to generation. If we lift up our eyes to the heavens, his glory shineth forth. If we cast them down on the earth, it is full of his goodness. The hills and the valleys rejoice and sing. Fields, rivers, and woods resound his praise. And then we're talking about us. But thee he hath distinguished with a peculiar favor and exalted thy station above all creatures. Where have we heard this before? Where have we heard that before? He hath endued thee with reason to maintain thy dominion. He hath fitted thee with language to improve thy society, and exalted thy mind with the powers of meditation to contemplate and adore his immutable perfection. What do we always speak on, right? When it's saying, but he hath distinguished thee, he hath distinguished with peculiar favor and exalted thy station above all creatures, right? That's in the Quran, in the Quran of Mecca, in Surah 2, Ayat 30. Behold, the Lord said to the angels, I will create a vice regent on earth. And they said, wilt thou place therein one who will make mischief therein and shed blood, right? In our lowered state, you're going to make them the ruler, the Lord on the earth, your earthly representative. That's what the vice regent is, the earthly representative of God. Whilst we do celebrate thy praises and glorify thy holy name. And he said, Allah, this is Allah speaking, I know what ye know not. So this is what he's saying to the angels. And he's saying, I will create a vice regent on earth. And once again, in not attacking any other religions, but we have to speak the truth because we're revealers of the light. In Catholicism, who is the vice regent? The vice regent, the representative of God, is the Pope. The Pope. But in the Quran, it says that we all are. But wait, hold up. That's also in the Bible as well. So remember, that's why I was reading that masterpiece of religious creeds revealed, because they're not telling you this. Right? If you're a Christian or Catholic, most of us probably weren't Catholics, but I mean, maybe, yeah, if you have Caribbean descent or something like that, you might be Catholic, or your family was. And they're not teaching you that. They're telling you that the Pope is the vice regent of God. And so in Christianity, okay, in John 14, verse 12, it says, truly, truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I'm doing. He will do even greater things than these because I am going to the Father. And this is Jesus speaking. God is speaking in Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26, where he says, then God said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness to rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, and over all the earth itself. All the earth itself, and every creature that crawls upon it. And then if you want to go on, it says in 27, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. It's saying that he created man to rule over all the earth itself. And in Psalms 8, 8:5, it says, you made him a little lower than the angels. You crowned him with glory and honor. You go on to verse 6, it says, you made him ruler of the works of your hands. You have placed everything under his feet. That's also in Hebrews 2, Verse 7, you made him a little lower than the angels. You crowned him with glory and honor. And then in verse 8, and placed everything under his feet. When God subjected all things to him, he left nothing outside of his control. Yet at present, we do not see everything subject to him. So that's in the Bible too, right? So any true prophet is going to be revealing, bringing this message to you. Any true scriptures are going to be telling you this. And so even though it's not in the mainstream, so that's once again, that's why I was reading that masterpiece of religious creed, secrets of other creeds revealed. So if you have that Moorish literature book, go and check that out. That's on page 41, because the prophet was coming to bring this message. Once again, I'll go back to that. In the third paragraph, it says, the sole purpose of the prophet in giving such a message to the world is to save fallen humanity. When a compiler attempts to inject propaganda into a work of this kind, there arises a need to cover the true text in order to prevent a clash with the truth and ideas involved in such propaganda. So not trying to attack the Pope or any of that stuff, but obviously a hierarchy is being created and men are being given stations, and they're not educating the populace or truly giving the message to the populace, right? But with our Holy Quran, we're giving this outright. It's being returned to us, and the message is in here throughout the Quran. The Quran is not a long book either, so it's you can't skip over it. It's in the beginning. We're on chapter 35. It's in here again, right? It's in there with all throughout it. So we understand our station and how this works, how Allah is connected to us, and then we're given instructions on how to realign with our higher self. All right, so this is very important. And I advise everyone to go look over this chapter again. Even if you just read it, tomorrow or something like that, just read it again. And maybe some other things will jump out to you. But this is really important. So going back in 19, but thee he hath distinguished with peculiar favor and exalted thy station above all creatures. But thee he hath endued with reason to maintain thy dominion. He hath fitted thee with language to improve thy society, right? So we're not here to talk so that we can be like TMZ, so we can spread gossip and talk bad about each other, tear each other down. It's to improve our society. We have reason to maintain our dominion, and exalted thy mind with the powers of meditation. Why? So you can connect to your higher self, to quiet the mind, to contemplate and adore his inimitable perfections. And in the laws he hath ordained as the rule of life, so kindly hath he united thy duty to thy nature, that obedience to his precepts is happiness to thyself. So with that, just in case it's not, make sure it's in too many words, right? Sometimes it's hard to understand and stuff, but he made it so that following his rules, following our divine instructions, they're in alignment with our nature anyway. So it's not really hard to do. And then also it brings happiness into your life. It makes your life easier. It makes your life better, right? A lot of these things, a lot of the instructions that we have, we hear these in our head sometimes, but we ignore them, right? That's the still small voice that speaks to us. That's so still and so small that most of us don't hear it at all. All right, but getting in alignment with these rules that have been ordained for us, they're actually not hard, and they make our life better. And that's how merciful Allah is. So we're not walking around beating ourselves, and doing, we're not doing something that's so difficult. Nah, it's not like that. Oh, praise his goodness with songs of thanksgiving, and meditate in silence on the wonders of his love. Let thy heart overflow with gratitude and acknowledgement. Let the language of thy lips speak praise and adoration. Let the actions of thy life show thy love to his law. And these if you listen to any self-help books or anything that is teaching, like the movie The Secret, anything like that, this is basically what they're telling you, right? um Giving gratitude, meditating in silence on his wonders and of his love, meditating, quieting your mind, doing this on a regular basis, making that a daily thing if possible, letting the heart overflow with gratitude and acknowledgement. Gratitude brings more prosperity into your life, appreciating every, no matter how small your blessings are, anything that you can find to be grateful for. I don't care how horrible your day went. If you meditate on that mess, your life is going to continue to get worse. So I don't care how bad things are going for you. I don't care if you're in prison right now. Find something to be grateful for and magnify it, because when you let your heart overflow with gratitude and acknowledgement, things will start to change for the better. So this is where we're supposed to be at all the time, though. This is what we're working on, getting to the point where we're like this all the time on a regular basis, so that even if we're getting down, we remember to snap back, snap out of it, giving gratitude. Let the language of thy lips speak praise and adoration. And that's hard too, because sometimes we're around people who really don't mean well. And we can't fall into that. We want to speak praise and adoration. If you don't have something nice to say about someone, don't say it at all, because even when we're speaking gratitude in our life, that's magnifying our life, but also how we speak of others. The thoughts that we're putting out there, they come back onto us, right? You're speaking ill of someone else, it's not going to make them sick. It's going to kill you. It's going to come back on you. So, our thoughts are things. We need to get into this mindset, especially for those out there who want to say they're God. You feel like God is in you. Well, if God is in you, and God gave Adam the ability to name all the creatures and everything on earth, and then reality, and what that really means is that God gave Adam the ability to name everything in his reality, good or bad for you. However you name it, that's what it will be for you. So if we have this power, if he gave us dominion over everything, which is saying in the Quran of Mecca, is saying that throughout the Bible, it's saying that in our Quran, that a prophet from North Carolina brought to us. This is the message. So this is really getting us in alignment with love. We're meditating. We're thinking on gratitude. We're being grateful. We're thankful. And then even with others, we're also speaking praise and adoration, right? So we're doing it at every level. Let the actions of thy life show thy love to his law. So we have to live it, right? On every level. And this is not what society's teaching us. This is not what's being pushed down our throats. But more than likely, if you're here, you know that this society is crumbling. Western civilization is coming down. You need to come out of it. Come out of it now, right? We all need to come out of it. We need to return to the ways of our ancestors, and not us in our downfall. We're returning to what we're given in the beginning of the Quran, the fall of man. Man was originally in alignment with his higher self. So that's what we're going back to. We're subduing the lower self. All right. So verse 23, Allah is just and righteous and will judge the earth with equity and truth. Hath he established his laws in goodness and mercy, and shall he not punish the transgressors thereof? All right. And oh, think not, bold man, because thy punishment is delayed, that the arm of Allah is weakened. Neither flatter thyself with hopes that he winketh at thy doings. His eye pierceth the secrets of every heart, and he remembereth them forever. He respecteth not the persons or the stations of men. And in many ways, there's no punishment after the fact or anything like that. Look, if Allah is in you, right? Everything that we do and say affects us. We have dominion over the earth, right? We're lords over the plains of everything may manifest. So obviously, what we do has an effect on us, and it comes back on us. So we don't get away with anything. All right. And if you're mindful of that, that encourages you to actually move towards living in love, right? Getting away from all of the negativity and things that's it's easy to fall into. All right. So this is really about the power of the mind, and getting our minds to actually get in alignment with the higher aspect of ourselves. So your higher self is not engaging in slander and all of these things. It's not engaging in gossip and um, all of the negativity that's so popular now. The high and the low, the rich and the poor, the wise and the ignorant. When the soul have shaken off the man, I can't see that word. The cumbrous shackles of this mortal life shall equally receive from the sentence of just and everlasting retribution according to their works. All right. So when you've conquered these negative aspects, negative thoughts, then you'll receive the rewards. Right. So if I'm trying to make sure I word this correctly, I don't whatever we're suffering, not to blame the victim, but wherever we're suffering, we're holding ourselves down if we are not aligning our thoughts with our higher self. And that's really hard to accept, that we control our reality. Right? 28. Then shall the wicked tremble and be afraid, but the heart of the righteous shall rejoice in his judgments. O fear Allah, therefore, all the days of thy life, and walk in the paths which he hath opened before thee. Let prudence admonish thee, let temperance restrain thee, let justice guide thy hand, benevolence warm thy heart, and gratitude to heaven inspire thee with devotion. These shall give thee happiness in thy present state, and bring thee to the mansions of eternal felicity in the paradise of Allah. This is the true economy of human life. So one thing in closing, so that there's no confusion about this, when it says, "Oh, fear Allah, therefore, all the days of thy life, and walk in the paths that which he hath opened before thee," understand that when it's saying, "Oh, fear Allah, therefore, all the days of thy life," where's Allah as far as you're concerned? Right? Allah is obviously with the creator of the universe and all, but Allah is in you. Allah buried himself in you. And you have dominion over all of this. You control your reality. And so knowing that you have this type of power, you should not want, not you, all of us, we should not want to give in to negative thinking in any way, shape, or form. Right? We know we have the power to make these things come to pass. And more than likely, it's going to affect us in our own life. So knowing that you have that power, therefore, all the days of thy life, walk in the path which he hath opened before thee. So in that aspect, looking at it in that light, now you say, let prudence admonish thee, let temperance restrain thee, right? We're now, we understand why we need the 12-step ladder, why we need those tools, right? Those virtues, why we need to attain them and master them. Let justice guide thy hand, benevolence warm thy heart, and gratitude to heaven inspire thee with devotion. And then these shall give thee happiness in thy present state, and bring thee to the mansions of eternal felicity in the paradise of Allah. This is the true economy of human life, right? So mastering these virtues, having this mindset, right? This will bring you prosperity, great health, and everything else that you desire. And that's truly, like, that's the message that I take from this, you know. And I know, like, some people will see that, oh, fear Allah, and what are you talking about? Well, if you know that you have this power, which is also why we discuss the stations that we have, You know, in the Quran is saying the Lord made us the viceroy on earth. And we know that that viceroy or that vice regent is the earthly representative of God. And then that's throughout the Quran. That's the only place it's at. And that's all throughout the Bible. So we understand that we were given this station, we were given this power. So yeah, we need to walk this way. It's not you're given this power, not just go out there, run wild, do anything, be evil, be filthy. No, we have to use it in the proper manner. We have to get rid of negative thinking. We need to raise ourselves up to our higher self and align with that, right? And then everything will be this will bring happiness and good health and everything into our life. So that's my take on it. If anybody has anything that they wanted to share or speak on, please feel free to speak. I yield the floor. Islam.
Islam. I rise and give perfect praise to Allah. Honors to the Prophet. Honors to all you Moors in attendance. Happy holy day. Uh, as Moorish scientists, excuse me, I cannot speak today. We know that every action there's a reaction. So we all have to be just to piggyback off of what you said, Grand Sheik. Yeah, we need to be mindful of how we walk in this path. And in order for us to really have a positive feedback in life, we have to just make sure our actions aren't with bad intentions or with negative thoughts. Islam.
All right, Islam. So that's yeah, exactly what you're saying, man. This is extremely important. Remember, right in the beginning of the Quran, it tells us the human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was full ordained to be the Lord of plane of soul and of all things made manifest. Right. So we're being given the tools. We're not just being taught this. Oh yeah, Allah's in you. No, we're given the tools to make it a reality, for real. And I could just say too, like just from not mastering everything, but just from moving in that direction, it makes your life much better, much easier, happier, right? It's not the hard path to walk, which is might be the opposite of what you hear other people saying, but it's actually it's easier, right? So it's like a blessing to actually following the guidance that Allah has for us, the instructions. It actually makes your life better. And a lot of people don't realize that. So that's why our classes on Holy Day it hasn't been a whole bunch of people. Who knows? Maybe we'll start being 100 people in here or not. But that's one thing that will make people say, "Oh no, I don't want to do this on my Friday," right? Even though the clubs are closed down. But it's like, no, this actually makes your life better. This makes your life easier. And then especially if we all start to do the mind work where we're starting to control our thoughts and getting rid of negative thinking, following these divine instructions, everything else is going to come to you and it's going to come to you easier, right? Money, all of that stuff. So this is extremely key, valuable. I would advise everybody to look this over, in your spare time. Um, but if nobody else had anything that they wanted to share or demonstrate on, we're gonna go ahead and go into the closing. Do we have a raised hand?
Islam. First and foremost, I rise and give perfect praise to our Father God, Allah, Father of the universe. I rise and give honors to His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality. And I rise and give honors to all you Muslims on the call. Islam. Happy Holy Day, Moors. I just wanted to add that was a beautiful demonstration as always. I just wanted to kind of reinforce like how important it is to constantly work on yourself. We have all the tools. We have that 12-step ladder. We have the 12 virtues, and we have the 3 steps, which is the formula to manifest. As we climb that 12-step ladder, that belief, faith, and fruition is so important to use this process and use the tools from the workshop of the mind to manifest and to make ourselves perfect and to pound in the truth until it's a part of every part, because we are truth and false are strangely mixed. And the whole fact that we know that, a whole ton of people in the world do not even understand what that means, but you know what that means. So you are ahead in the game. Islam. And with these 5 codes of conduct, we also have 5 principles, the highest principles known to man: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We have the keys that we need to be successful, to be the best us that we can be in this world. And when we are the best and when we're living our potential, we can do so much good in this world and affect so many people. That is the main part of uplifting fallen humanity. We have to be good so that people can see good and so that they can imitate good and learn how to be good. And when I say good, I'm not saying like good or bad in a sense. I'm saying, you know, the source of good, all love, Allah, is in us. And we have the potential to reach the highest of those highs right now. And that's why I'm like, do that 40-day math system, meditate, okay? It is necessary to pray. And when you pray, you have to believe that we receive, because God is all that we desire and need. So, meditate. When you meditate, you quiet down the monkey chatter. Do not, flock with these bird brains. Just quiet it all down, shut it down, just embrace and give thanks for the energy that resides in you. And the more you do that, the more powerful you get. Islam?
Islam, thank you. And to add to what you were saying, yeah, if we truly understand that Allah made us the lords of all of this, gave us dominion over the entire earth, and that includes our thoughts and the words that we say about each other, about people who are doing us wrong, all of that stuff, right? We have control over that. So we have to come from a higher plane of thinking and focus on the positive and maintain it, because we have power and dominion over all the earth, and especially us. The prophet told us that the keys to civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatics, specifically us here in the Americas. And he returned us to that, or relinked us to our ancestors, to man before he fell, right? We're relinked back into that. So what we're now given the tools and everything to not just act the part, but to actually be that. And so this is key. I think this is something that we all should go over a couple times just to make sure that we're walking the walk. All right. Um, yeah, but if anyone else wants to demonstrate, feel free to speak up. All right. We're going to go ahead and go into the closing of the meeting. Brother Shaw Bay, would you please read the divine warning?
Islam, happy holy day, Moors. I rise and give perfect praise to Allah, honor to the Prophet, honor to all you Moors on the call and around the world. Islam. A divine warning by the Prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. and it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind to their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by the government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine national movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights, unmolested by the other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man; it is free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver, and commerce belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people and I desire their unity and mind back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of the United to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issues and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro alludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word colored alludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizens of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and South in union, placing the Southerners, who were at the time without power, with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was enforced since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come. Because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do herein believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with the divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin, which has been committed and is being being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerner for all these great misuses. But I have traveled in the South and have examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work, to bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. From the prophet, Islam, Islam, Islamism. Praise Allah. Happy Holy Day, Morris.
Islam, gratitude, brother. And happy Holy Day, Moors. We're going to go ahead and close out. All right, all meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Would you rise, please, for the closing prayer? Rise and face the east. Right. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principles. This we ask in thy holy name in the 7 Elohim. Amen. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Right. Love more than holy day.
Peace. Happy Holy Day.
Happy Holy Day, Muslims. Peace and
Happy
love.
Holy Day.
Islam.
Islam, happy Holy Day, Muslims. See you on Sunday.